Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Homesteading Channel, finally in a warm North Carolina. If this is the first time visiting with us, we want to extend to you a very warm welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. If today is your birthday, we want to wish you a very happy birthday. Even though today is a nice warm day and we could use the shop or be outside, we have the project to finish from last week, and that's what we're going to do today. Just to recap, last week we started working on a 1938 little table that contained the Singer sewing machine.
Sewing cabinet.
And we started by scraping the paint and making the piece ready for stain. And of course we did stain it. We're changing a little bit how the piece looks to make it a little more contemporary, but in the same token we don't want to change it too much because it's such a beautiful and old piece. So we try to stay a little bit true to form. So we're going to talk about the changes we're going to do today, and we're going to show you the finished project. So if you want to refinish furniture, you want to learn how to do that, or you want to see how we achieved our change, watch the rest of the video. A big part of the reason why this ended up being a two-part episode is because we had, of course, to wait for stain and cleaning products to dry. And also because in both cases we had to tape, right?
Yep.
We taped the first part so we will not stain the areas we're going to paint. And now, of course, we have to tape the stain so we will not paint the stain, right?
Exactly. Say that 3 times fast.
So the advantage we had was because we did this all inside, we have a nice uniform finish on the piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
We also used the pre-stain product, which prevent blotchiness. We're really, really happy with the way the piece looks so far, right?
Yeah.
And again, we're going to go for a little more contemporary look of this piece than what it was before. And it is important, while this is not like an exciting and definitely not exciting to video, it is very important to spend your time on taping, because a pre-taping will show in the final result. So take your time on this and do it correctly.
So this is the test right here, about how this goes. This is the accent color we picked. Sort of a muted navy color. You want to get it only on the bare wood parts because we've stained everything else to provide that nice contrast. So I'm going to put a light coat on it first and let that really dry, because we haven't put any sort of conditioner or anything on it. And if we ever wanted to refinish this, we would want to be able to do a good job taking it off. But
So the only thing we did to prepare this was, one, to remove the veneer that was on the side,
right,
and then you sanded it some to remove whatever remaining glue was there.
yes, sanded it, really fine so that there was a smooth, very, very smooth surface. So we're gonna finish this side and then move around the piece. And as I come to the front where the drawer is, I'll have to be really, really careful. I've masked it, but it's really important that I not go over any of the parts with the stain.
Right. So here we are with just a little bit better light going to the front of the piece and showing you how that paint applies.
And I would be using a smaller brush for this to get into these little parts, but don't have one, so
Oh, you get a drip there.
just gotta be slow and careful.
There on the edge. There we go. I did get some close-up stuff.
So when you do a piece like this, you see here some scratches that we intentionally left in for two reasons. First of all, we do not try to pretend that this is a brand new piece, right? We want it to have some character, and definitely this gives character. Now this is not something we did. This is something, there are scratches, probably something that someone pulled, something heavy here, you know. But they were there before we start working on the piece, and we decided to keep it, first of all, for character. Secondly, some of them are a little too deep, and our fear was we're going to go through the veneer and we'll make it look ugly, right? Now this is a choice, and of course you can re-veneer that, especially if you want to make it look brand new. But for us, the choice was to leave them there, leave the character to the piece, and see how it goes.
So one thing I wanted to do is to give the face section here, the drawer, or I guess it's a door really, to has some, you know, pockets in there for little sewing implements. But I wanted to give it a little bit of extra pop, and so what I want to do is to take this, I had sanded down this little knob, and it was very, very plain, and so I thought I would give it a very little coat with some copper, and the copper I have is spray paint, so I'm just spraying it into a little plastic here and brushing it on to the wood to give it some shine, a little accent.
And we got creative with the brush because we didn't have a little brush that we could locate, so we took another brush and cut it down so that we could have a little more control.
Yeah. And when I'm all done, I think it's going to be really shiny and really pop. And of course, I taped off the areas around it so I could get the whole knob. Since I couldn't find a way to get it off the door here.
But by doing it this way, also you're getting several really light, quick coats that are not gonna drip or bubble or anything like that.
And being spray paint, it dries really quickly anyway. So, yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
We've given the paint some time to dry, and now we're going to remove the mask. We have a couple of more details to work on, but we can do nothing more before we remove the mask, right?
Right.
And this is the only thing I would say. When you buy painter's mask, this is not the place to buy the cheap stuff, right?
Right.
Because we have tried cheap masks in the past and they left residue or they didn't come off easily, you know. This is something you need to buy good quality. Now, if you find a good quality cheap one, that's fine, right?
Yeah, you know.
Just don't go in the dollar store and buy a...
It is a disposable item, but it really does matter how well it protects your project.
Why were you masked there?
So that what do you mean? So that I didn't get any paint on the wood,
I see.
on the stain part.
So once again, this is an exercise in patience, right? We have finished with our paint, and now we're going to move to poly. And this is the Not Mr. Wizard painted brass or bronze or
Copper.
copper. What's the difference? The same thing? Same color, right?
Nope.
Different metal, same color.
Different color.
So this is a project you cannot do in a couple of days. It will take 2 or 3 days, I think, right, Mrs. Wizard?
Yeah, and mostly because you want to let everything dry in between doing coats of stain and coats of paint.
And
Taping
now,
off carefully.
yep. And you could restore this piece is in good enough shape that we could be restored in full brand new condition, right? Again, that was not the look we wanted. And also you could put a veneer on top of it. We chose not to, because by painting it, we are leaving it as it is. We're not damaging the furniture, and if someone in the future wants to refinish it full, they can, right? Back to original condition. And without damaging the furniture, we're making it a little more modern. Does it make sense? When you refinish something like that, always refinish it in a way that you can revert back to the original, in case someone else wants it. Well, friends, here we are with our finished product, and it does look much different than when we started, as you can see. It is a really more contemporary look, wouldn't you agree? But it's still classic. I mean, you still see what it used to be, right? It is not, we didn't destroy the piece. Whenever you work with something like that, I think that is the key, not to damage the piece, right?
Right.
And again, we were not going for perfection here. We wanted some wear and tear to show through on this piece, often referred to as character, right? So our goal was not to make it perfect. This is how we like it, with a little bit of imperfection. However, this was a piece you could make perfect without any question. It was not as abused, and we only found it for $10, which was really a find.
Oh yeah, especially with the sewing machine
Right.
included.
It was an amazing find. But definitely doing something like that, you need to respect the history of the piece, I think. And Mrs. Wizard will use it for her modern sewing machine. We're not putting the Singer in. I will try to repair it because it's just an amazingly beautiful machine, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it is.
just
The
beautiful.
detail that they put into those machines back then. was
And
just
if I
amazing.
fix it, we'll probably put it back in. We have all the hardware, right? But for now, we're going to use it on our daily life. That's why we bought it. We bought it to be used, right? It was not bought. Even though this is a showpiece too, right? You could have it
Yeah.
in a living room as a showpiece. In any case, this cost a lot of labor and time, not necessarily a lot of money, right? I mean,
Right.
most everything but the piece itself, we used things we already had. I think we bought a different stain for this than our normal.
I think so, yeah.
But other than that, this is not an expensive piece. And granted, you have to go to restores frequently to find something like this. It's not that you're going to go out and your first time you will find it. Probably you would. We didn't. You know, we tend to go at least every weekend or so, right?
Right.
Just to look. And every now and then you will find something.
And we find them a lot for much more money, but this at $10 was definitely a bargain not to pass up.
Well, and I think if they knew that was a 1938 table, they
Probably
would
would
have,
not have been $10.
right. It wouldn't be
right.
$10, but and we know that's the age of the table. I mean, we know that for a fact, right? I mean, it's not
Right.
a guess for
Right.
us. So we hope you did enjoy this episode and you found some useful things, maybe for your own projects in the future. If you did, a thumbs up will be greatly appreciated. If you didn't, 2 thumbs down. Press the thumbs down twice. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know what else you might want to watch in future episodes. And let us know if you like this type. Refinishing takes a long time, but it is to some level easier because you don't have to worry about things being square. You don't have to think about perfection of this nature, right? And even if you make a mistake, it is fixable. It just takes more time. It is not a big deal. And you can take a piece like this for $10 that you cannot buy today, let's face it, right?
Right.
I mean, this whole piece did not have plywood or particle board anywhere. Everything was solid pieces. I mean, some pieces were less quality than others,
Right.
but it was all solid pieces and really nice veneers.
Right.
And keep in mind that in that era, veneers were considered a high up thing. It was not like now that the veneer is a bad thing, right?
Right.
So this was a high end piece of furniture, and Mrs. Wizard, I did a little more flair to it by making this
Copper.
copper. So all in all, we're very happy with it. What do you think, Elpida?
Yeah, I think it turned out very nicely.
Well, friends, this is it for today for us. If you enjoyed this episode, again, let us know. Please stay safe, wash your hands, put your mask on, stay 6 feet apart. 6
6
farts?
parts.
Actually, 6 farts apart seems like a good rule.
It's a good idea.
Stay 6 feet apart, get vaccinated. So we're going to see you again in our next episode. From Dr. Wizard, Mrs. Wizard, Elpida, and of course the Urban Homesteading channel, stay safe, friends.